So you missed all that?
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it again. So just ask questions.
All you get to hear was Ruben breathing. You know, so.
The game time, is that because you don't like waiting around all day? With those late
Well, I don't like waiting around all day, but now we're back to being old. Because I think high school football is played Friday nights, college football is played Saturday afternoon, and pro football is played on Sunday. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Nobody agrees with me, but that's okay. I can have my opinion.
When you guys play night home games, what are the restrictions on the players as far as what do you guys stay in one place? How does that work?
You mean the night before the game?
Yeah.
We basically take the travel squad, the guys that would travel. We take them to a hotel the night before a game. So they're with us. We're meeting and doing walkthroughs and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're kind of stuck in a hotel room.
Yeah,
on Saturday.
they're from about 5 o'clock on. They're with us.
So they'll be just with you less on Saturday, right? So you guys will stay at night, Friday night. You'll stay at a hotel.
Yeah, but I am. If you want to get into the philosophy of it, I'm thinking about changing that. I'm thinking about letting them stay at home on Friday night.
This Friday night?
No, not. No, we're staying Friday night in a hotel. I'm talking about next season. We're thinking about maybe changing that and letting them stay at home.
Why?
I think they sleep better at home. I have great kids in the program. There's very little chance of something going wrong, even though there is a chance of it. You could use the money that it costs to go to a hotel for other things that might be more beneficial in the program. There's a lot of reasons.
Have you heard players complain about fatigue from not sleeping well in a hotel on game day?
No, not too much. In fact, they look forward to going to the hotel because they get fed well.
Rocky, you've talked a lot about the 4 straight bowl games before. I know last year you were talking about how much pride you took in that. To make it 5 in a row, how important would that be just to lock that 5th one up?
Well, I'm pretty proud of this is a senior game. It's their last guaranteed game because I believe that we have to win this weekend to be in a bowl game. I think the senior class and maybe some that were 4th-year seniors last year have done an amazing job in bringing this program back to respectability. Mike and I were just checking that it's the winningest 5 years in a row since they became a major college football team. And that's a bunch of young people believing in what they're doing and working really hard and getting into a position that they could be in the 5th bowl. Being eligible for 5 bowls in a row when I hope I'm gonna get this right. In the previous 41 years, they were in the total of 4 bowl games, and we've been to 4 in a row and hopefully a 5th. That's I don't know, by anybody's standard, that seems pretty good.
Talk about San Jose. I mean, they present the bump to that bowl.
Yeah, I don't think it's a guaranteed deal by any means. They're talent-wise, they're very similar. Both teams are very, very similar. They present a lot of problems. They've got great wide receivers. They're big and strong up front. On defense, they've played extremely well most of the year. They've had a couple of games where they struggled, but they've played extremely well for most of the year on defense. And their coach is a great coach. I mean, I'm personal friends with Coach Carragher, but they've got a good coaching staff. He'll have them ready to play. And it's a rivalry type game. 2 California schools playing the last game of the year. That's a rivalry game. You don't know what the mentality is, but sometimes the mentality is, boy, let's just play for fun. Let's fake punts. Let's onside kick. Let's just go have a good time. And a lot of times teams that have things to play for feel pressure and stress. And the teams that don't feel free and easy and going, and they play extremely well, where the team that feels the stress and the need to win doesn't play extremely well. It happens all the time. I've seen it many times happen that way. So I'm very concerned because they've got a good coaching staff and they've got really good athletes, and they can play football like it's supposed to be played, just for the fun of the game.
Do you remember the last year's team, how they upset Fresno State, and how that went down?
Yeah, Fresno State would have been in the BCS Bowl game last year if San Jose didn't beat them the last game of the year.
Yeah.
How about preparing for their quarterback? It's a little bit of an odd week for them with a lot up in the air. It looks like the walk-on might start, but what do you think about that?
It makes it very difficult. I'm glad you brought it up because it makes it very difficult to prepare for him. Are you preparing for the guy that played the whole game at Utah State? Or are you preparing for the guy that started the 5 games before that? Or are you preparing for a wildcat formation?
Yeah.
You know, so you've got 3 or 4 different scenarios. Obviously, the one that started the 5 or 6 games presents one problem. The kid that played most of the Utah State, or the whole Utah State game except the very first play, is a different issue. And then there's rumors, I don't know how I know this, but there are rumors that because they have 2 really good running backs, there are rumors that they're just going to say the heck with the quarterback and line up in wildcat formation as in the old days with single wing type stuff, which makes it, you have to prepare for that kind of stuff, and if you don't, you're in deep trouble. So it's cutting our preparation time in half. You got to prepare for their spread stuff, and now you got to prepare for this wildcat formation. I mean, and you don't know exactly how they're going to get in a wildcat, but all it does is give an extra blocker for the running game.
Where are these rumors coming from?
From San Jose. And they're not just rumors. I guess the other 2 quarterbacks that are hurt, they're day-to-day.
Right.
So they can go with the guy that played at the Utah State game last week. And if the other 2 aren't healthy, they have to have a wildcat formation. So they're going to be practicing one. It's not.
So you're saying they have to have one with this walk-on guy? You're saying?
Yeah, and just in case he gets hurt.
Oh, I see. Right.
If the other 2 can't play and he gets hurt, they supposedly don't have another quarterback. They would have to go to someone. So they're practicing it. So we have to practice against some of that stuff too, and we don't know exactly what to practice against.
And the Wildcat guy, he's an interesting player too, because they kind of had him doing slot receiver stuff, and then when the other guy got suspended, they kind of made him the primary back. He's
actually better than the kid that got suspended, and the guy that got suspended is playing this week. And the one that they replaced him with is probably better. They've got 2 really good running backs.
Are you ever amazed at what Daniel Humphrey's done, just considering his size? I mean, the way he runs the football at, what, 170 pounds?
I guess I've gotten used to it. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But around here, we kind of gotten used to it because he doesn't run like he weighs 170 pounds. I mean, the young man at San Jose that we're talking about only weighs 178, and he's very similar type runner, very similar type runner. So I guess there is a place for the small guy if they can take a beating and make people miss enough.
Yeah, what is it about? I mean, how do you physically take it, like you said, take a beating at 170 pounds? I mean, and he never comes off the field, it seems.
Yeah, I can't explain it. Some guys can play at 170 and play that way and don't get hurt, and there's guys that weigh 290 that they go out there and get hurt the first time they step on a field. I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm glad he can play it.
When you said on the bubble for a bowl, does it help to have a guy like when they're selecting? Say you're sitting there 6 wins or 7 wins, and they're selecting. Does it help to have a guy like Pumphrey, one of the top running backs in the country? Does that sway whoever's
Well, I would have said yes, but our league now has a way that they prioritize who goes to what bowl games. Last year we didn't. So star players or star power had something to do with whether you got picked or not. This year's that's not the case. It's how your schedule falls, how your record falls. I mean, they have a whole list of criteria. Record, league record, head-to-head. They have a whole list of criteria. So I just know if we win, we're in. And if we don't win, there's a real good chance we're not in.
Any confidence heading into this game, knowing that your passing game has looked to improve the past few games, or at least especially last week?
Well, I think that helps our whole team if we were able to throw the ball, because people are putting a bunch of people close to the line of scrimmage to try to stop the running game. And that's why we threw for 300 and some yards last week, because they had 9 guys right at within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Now, if you break through that 5-yard area, it's a long touchdown, but it's much easier to throw one-on-one routes out there with the whole field to use.
Any emphasis on red zone offense this week, or is it the same as usual?
Yeah, that's a hilarious deal, kind of. We spend more time practicing in red zone offense and defense here in the last 2 years than I ever have in my 37 years of coaching. And it's the worst we've been in the red zone. And we practice it more. So maybe we practice it too darn much.
What do you think about that, Rocky? What's the disconnect between?
I think a lot of it has to do with luck. Just like some years you have 30 turnovers and some years you have 10. We emphasize turnovers every single year. We practice interceptions. We practice causing fumbles. We practice like crazy, not turning the ball over, not throwing interceptions, not fumbling. Some years you turn it over a bunch, some years you don't. Some years you cause a bunch of turnovers, some years you don't. Some years you play good in the red zone, some years you don't. Because I'm telling the truth. We practice red zone this year on both offense and defense 3 times as much as I ever have as a head coach before. Because we weren't very good last year in the red zone. So we put an emphasis on it and practiced it more this year, and we're the same. It's like you talk about fumbling enough to a player. You can't fumble, you can't fumble, you can't fumble. Oh, you fumbled way too much. You can't fumble. They're going to fumble. And I think that's what we've done in the red zone with all that practice time.
It's kind of like, don't slice this drive.
Right, right. And sure enough, that's what you're going to do.
Rocky, how would you characterize the season to this point?
I think we're a very, very competitive football team that has had average results. Last year we get in tight games and we won a bunch of them, all but one. This year we've gotten in a bunch of tight games and we haven't won them. Now, I went hunting for the reason for that, and I think it's maturity. Last year we had a lot of seniors playing. This year we don't have near as many seniors playing, and we have a lot more first-year guys playing. So they get in tight situations and they don't make non-veteran mistakes.
Part of the reason I ask is I don't think the results have been on par with your expectations going into the year, but is this a chance to lock up a bowl game? Is this a chance to salvage the season, or is that too strong of a word?
No, I'm pretty proud and happy of where we are right now, because we've overcome some emotionally distressing losses. You know, ones that you're in the game that could turn your season around or put you in the and we still have a chance, very small chance, would put you naturally in the championship game, and we were unable to get over the hump or finish it out, however you want to put it. And our kids come to practice every day. They play extremely hard, just like they did last week. I mean, there's a lot of teams that would have bellied up last week now. Playing an 8-2 team, and you have nothing to play for and all those kind of things. And they'll come out and play hard this week. I just hope we don't make too many mistakes.
How much would a bowl game, aside from pride, impact this program? Is it a situation where you make a 5th straight bowl and you see the benefits through recruiting, whereas versus you miss it and there's a drop off? Is that dramatic, or is it for you to lock?
No, it's not going to be dramatic to recruiting, because out there in the recruiting world, the young people we're recruiting still believe we're a team on the rise. Whether we go to a bowl game or not, they know we've qualified for going to one. What you miss out on is developing the players that are in your program now. If you go to a bowl game, you get basically an extra spring practice. And so you kind of let the guys that are going to play in the game, they practice a little bit, and then the guys that have been on your scout teams all year, they practice a whole lot. And so it develops the players you have in your program now. So if you miss out on a bowl game, you don't get that benefit of developing players. Way back when I was at a school that was struggling to get in a bowl game, no matter what your record was, I put a presentation up to the American Football Coaches Association that the ones that didn't go to a bowl game should get an extra 15 days of spring practice. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Mm-hmm. They laughed me right off the stage. They thought I was the dumbest guy that ever walked up there with a suggestion. I thought it was a great suggestion.
You know, last year you guys seemingly had to really lobby, and it seemed like almost politic, to get in a bowl game because there was that tussle with San Jose State and stuff. If you guys were to finish 6-6, do you think you have far less of a case or argument this year because of you've lost to the
we don't have the ability to argue anymore. Okay, last year there was no clear-cut ways they determined who went to bowl games. This year, because of Jim Sturck and the other athletic directors, there is a clear-cut way that the ones that get to go to bowl games are determined. If there's 6 guaranteed bowl games, if there's 3 teams that end up 6-6, we're the odd man out. Unless there's a 7th bowl game, which there's a possibility of a 7th bowl game. The Big 12 might not get all their bowl tie-ins fulfilled. Let me think of some other. Boise State or Colorado State might go to a BCS bowl, and then 7 of our teams get in. I mean, there's all kinds of situations where 6-6 you can't get in. But at 6-6, we're not guaranteed to get in. At 7-5, because of the criteria now, we're guaranteed to be somewhere at 7-5. We're not guaranteed at 6-6. Because eventually it gets down to head-to-head.
Coach, you mentioned earlier about it being senior day on Saturday. How do you kind of help manage their emotions maybe going into this game or when they step onto that field for the final time and kind of keep their mind on the task at hand, so to speak?
I'm pretty confident in our seniors that they have the maturity that it's not going to be an overly emotional day because they want to play another one. And they think they have a future if they play another one, so I think their attention is going to be on the game. Other than we do the Warrior Walk, their families get to walk with them. They go out and take pictures on the field before the game. We introduce them before the game. I think that most of our seniors are mature enough to handle all that and it not affect their play.
Galea and Largent, their impact over the years, how do you view those guys?
I think Cody has done an amazing job over the years that he's played because he's kind of an under-the-radar guy. If he is one of our most consistent football players on this team and has been for 3 years. When he played defensive end, he was an undersized defensive end and didn't make big-time plays and didn't have big-time stats, so people kind of forgot him. We put him at linebacker this year, which is a heck of a transition now. And he's had a great year, but it's not spectacular statistically wise, so everybody kind of forgets him. I think Derek Largent, when he's completely healthy, is one of the most dominant players on our team and potentially has NFL ability. But the injury plague injuries have really curtailed him having a great overall career.
Yeah. And the appendicitis this year was just bizarre, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's horrible.
Then he had hamstring issues, and there's several things that have curtailed his career.
So you mentioned NFL with Largent, but not necessarily with Cody. Do you kind of still see that as maybe Largent maybe has a bigger pro upside?
I should never comment on NFL stuff because I don't know what they're looking for. Largent has the size and speed that the NFL bases their original criteria on. Okay? Cody's not as big. He's not as fast. Cody's been a more consistent football player in our program because Derek's fought the injury bug. And having great college players has nothing to do with the NFL.
Yeah.
I try to tell them all the time that too. In fact, I sit down with the seniors at the end of the year when the season's over. I sit down with the seniors and tell them what I personally think, if they're NFL guys or they're not. And I hurt a lot of feelings. Because I would say 80% of our senior class thinks they're going to the NFL. And there might be 2 or 3 in that senior class that are really going to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to make it. They're just going to get a chance.
As a coach, is there a regard for a guy like Cody, who is a little bit smaller, a little bit slower, who maybe in his own mind does or doesn't think he's going to the NFL? You know, maybe that's not his biggest dream. Do you have a lot of respect for guys like that who play the game for the love of the game?
I think that's, for a coach, that's the guys you respect the most. And that doesn't exclude the NFL guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that have a chance to be in the NFL that play football because they love to play. And if they put the effort and time to making themselves the very best football player they can for their teammates and their college team, they make the best NFL guys too if they have the athletic ability. The guys that are playing college football with their only goal is to go to the NFL, they're not worth it. And they don't become good NFL guys either.